They tried to slap that look right off my face, but I'm still grinning. And the money ain't run out yet, so I do believe I'm winning. For all the mess I was and will be continuing, and the fun is only beginning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. My name is John Zadell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
John, this is the best SmackDown of the year. Old joke, corny joke, because it's January 5th. This is New Year's Revolution. They tried to make it out like a pay-per-view premium live event quality show. Did they succeed? I wonder. John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from the first SmackDown of 2024?
First SmackDown of 2024. And we don't ever bury the lead, Dom.
Why start now, right?
Yes, we're not. Yes, this is not a New Year's resolution that we need to make a point of. So the lead going in here is we have the main event was LA Knight versus AJ Styles versus Randy Orton that ends in a big schmoz, and Roman Reigns and the Bloodline come and destroy everyone. But then after they destroy everyone, the general manager says, at Royal Rumble, we will have a fatal four-way between Roman Reigns and the three competitors at the triple threat match. A lot to take in for the lead there, but looks like, we had a triple threat match in the main event and basically ended up in nothing, but we're going to have a fatal four-way in Royal Rumble for the title. Dom, what did you think of the triple threat and ending schmoz?
The triple threat started while the TV viewing audience was at commercial. So I'm going to say maybe it was 9:36-ish on the East Coast here as we watch. And it's about 9:53 when Roman Reigns' music hits. So these guys were wrestling a long time and we're having a really good match.
Yeah.
I thought this was a hard-hitting match. LA Knight got some color on the forehead. I don't know if that was intentional or if it just happened somewhere. But a really hard-hitting match. The crowd was into it. The crowd was in Vancouver, which is in Canada on the West Coast. This show goes off the air in one of these sort of hush-hush secrets for the TV viewing audience that the live crowd can't hear. Nick Aldis very quietly, and one of the roving cameras with microphones on them picks this up. Him telling Paul Heyman, it'll be a fatal four-way at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
While the live crowd in the arena has no idea that's been said. It wasn't very demonstrative or anything. He just quietly told Paul Heyman and walked off. I wonder if they got an announcement after the show went off the air. But we've seen WWE do this before. This reminds me of when Jey Uso quit the WWE. He did it into one of those roving cameras. He didn't do it on a microphone that the live crowd could hear. So he escaped through the crowd. The crowd's cheering like crazy for him. They have no idea that he basically just panned the whole company. So I'm not sure about this technique. It makes for pretty cool TV viewing, but I'm not sure what this does for the live crowd to kind of leave them out of, the big punchline there. In some ways, I'm disappointed in this. I don't want to see a fatal four-way. The problem with Roman Reigns' matches already is that there's too many people involved. That's what's wrong with Roman Reigns' title defenses. So I don't want to see a fatal four-way really, and especially since this was such a cool match, I wanted someone to emerge from this. Maybe AJ Styles. AJ Styles has this new look to him. He wears just kind of, instead of like the wrestling trunks or the tights, he's wearing what look like just black jeans with a big thick belt buckled in the front. I mean, it looks kind of heelish, maybe um although people still cheer him. But I like the look. Maybe AJ Styles gets a crack at Roman Reigns. I mean, we can't bury the lead for SmackDown. We also can't bury the lead for WWE overall. At first night, which was Raw, The Rock came back and made an allusion that maybe he should sit at the head of the table.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, does The Rock face Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber? Or do they make that WrestleMania and then whoever wins the Royal Rumble has to go for Seth Rollins' belt or something like that? So there's a lot of intrigue going on as to who they have face Roman Reigns. And I don't think this clears up that question. I mean,
No.
do you feel like you have any more answers 3 weeks out of Royal Rumble than you did at the start of the show?
Oh, there's more questions, which is good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intrigue. I mean, it looked like last year. It kind of looked like the same thing. Cody Rhodes would finish his story, and last year I was a little, all right, okay, I guess we'll do that. And now we see The Rock comes back after I make a video, or we make a video, I should say. I'm not coming back. Definitely not going to happen. He comes back.
Yeah, they announced a new movie for him, and it was like, okay, well, I guess he's got something else to do now.
And he comes out and directly says, he wants to be at the head of the table. Calls out Roman Reigns. Like that would be. It's a big thing to leave out there. Like I know CM Punk called out Roman Reigns, but obviously he's in no shape to get. I mean, I would imagine he's in no shape to get a WWE championship. But Roman Reigns or The Rock is a mega star. Like, I mean, you might have to, but I think that's probably, we could probably go on for ages on that topic with The Rock coming back and should he or shouldn't he, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit more during Cheap Heat. But heavens knows, like all the Rock videos do really well, so we'll probably keep doing those. But
what do you like from this match? Anything about? Are we going to just pan this whole match or like skip over it, ignore it? I mean, because it was a good match, especially as triple threats go before the schmaz at the end there when Solo Sikoa comes down and Jimmy Uso comes down with Roman, and they're just taking apart these guys one by one. Roman powerbombs AJ Styles, throws him out of the ring. Superman punch to LA Knight and a spearman throws him out of the ring. Randy Orton gets a combination Solo Sikoa spike with a spear from Roman Reigns. So they ruined what had been a pretty competitive. Were you looking forward to a winner from this match?
Yeah, I thought there'd be a clean. I didn't think it would.
I was too.
I didn't think they needed to do it, and I think because they let up and it was like, oh, awesome main event, and then they were having an awesome main event. And you were like, okay, cool, because there was a lot of near falls toward the end. I'm like, whoever wins goes on and loses the Royal Rumble, but this is a good match. And then I kind of was on the same boat with you with AJ Styles. I was like, he's a guy that will have a really good match with Roman. And I wouldn't be too pissed if he loses. RVD was also way over too. LA Knight they just did, and I think LA Knight might even be in the actual title picture to actually win it over AJ Styles or I said RVD or Randy Orton.
Randy Orton, yeah.
But
some great spots from this match leading up to the big run-in at the end. Things were really getting fast-paced, and it looked like we were getting some near falls. I mean, there was LA Knight hit a blunt force trauma on Randy Orton, but AJ Styles stopped the ref's arm from coming down for 3 count. Charles Robinson there was counting 1,
Little
2.
Nate.
Little Nate, and I don't know if he usually counts with his left arm or not. I haven't watched this, but I mean, most officials are right-handed, I would think. But Charles Robinson's counting with the left arm, and so that's the one closest to AJ Styles, and he's able to stop him. And that breaks up that pinfall.
Little inside baseball about Little Nate or Charles Robinson here. Whenever something is going to happen, he typically is out there because he's their most experienced, trusted vet. So whenever they're going to have some complicated ref spots, which they definitely had, super complicated is the 3 count, and AJ Styles catches it.
Yes.
That's like very hard. I don't think I've seen that in a very long time. If so they have to have a really good ref, and so little Nate's usually means there's going to be some ref spot.
Mhm.
So
I
sorry.
like that. And then AJ Styles went for a phenomenal forearm, but Randy Orton caught him in midair with an RKO.
Mhm.
And he looks like he's going to get the pin, and LA Knight drags little Nate out of the ring to prevent that pinfall.
Yeah.
And that's when we get Roman Reigns' music. So these guys were really heating up. This was a fun match. The crowd was into it. LA Knight was getting chants when he was ramming both guys' heads off the announce table. He was getting chances for punches with the face-offs. But it wasn't one-sided for LA Knight. Randy Orton was getting Randy chants. People were behind him. AJ
Oh, yeah.
Styles really wasn't getting any chants, but I mean, he looked great in this match.
He looked awesome.
Some might say phenomenal.
He looked-
Everybody looked good here. Everybody looked like they belonged, right?
Mhm.
Hey, who fantasy booked this, Dr. John? Who would you have wanted to see win this match if there was no schmoz?
Considering they have to lose, and they're not going to win at the Royal Rumble, I think AJ Styles, especially because he looks really unique now. He got like a weird new look, and not weird, but like a new look, and it almost looks like a new wrestler with it because he usually wears the tights. Now he's got the huge baggy pants. He almost looks like Jeff Hardy or something like that. But I would have said AJ Styles, and ultimately we'll see which direction they go. A fatal four ways weird, but might be cool because then you don't know what will happen. I guess you do kind of know because is Roman Reigns going to lose the title after 1,000 days in a fatal four way?
Yeah, by not even being involved in the finish, right? Somebody pins somebody else, and that's how the historic reign ends. I don't know.
Yeah,
More questions than answers. It's I guess we got a great main event because it was a great match. They gave him a long time. There was a lot of action in the ring, and then we got just a beat down at the end by guys who weren't involved. So
I wonder one thing though. I'm curious
Mhm.
to hear what you think about this. So WWE is PG, which means they don't have like certain things. Specifically, they don't have blade jobs. I think LA
Mhm.
Knight did a blade job tonight. I
Okay.
know he did because he's busted open, and then AJ Styles starts punching at his forehead to open the cut up. So he did a blade
Okay.
job, and AJ Styles opened him up. What do you think about them bringing color back? Because we haven't seen any color, right? I don't think so. Any pay per views where we've seen color?
Maybe on a pay-per-view, but yeah, I mean Brock Lesnar famously did it with the screw in the turnbuckle
Mm.
and kind of busted himself open the hard way on the screw in the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I like it. It wasn't overdone. He wasn't drenched in it.
Hmm.
It may have been better because I was confused as to when he got cut. Like, what? Hey, he took a great springboard 450 splash by AJ Styles. Like, what a phenomenal, just executed physical move that is to be able to do that. And that's when it looks like LA Knight has color. And I'm like, okay. And then I thought maybe it was real. Like, did AJ Styles for some reason like catch him with an elbow to the forehead and really like give him a shot?
Yeah.
But I didn't see enough on replay to tell me what happened there. But yeah, that's when LA Knight's bleeding. So he wasn't bleeding because he got thrown into a ring post or into the ring steps or because he got rammed into the announce table or something. He was bleeding because he was flat on the mat and took a tremendous looking 450 springboard, which I don't think I've seen anybody do before.
No, it was. It was.
I like the color though. It should have made more sense, but I did like it to answer your question.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while, and it would be cool to see some color back. Not overdone. We've watched some AEW pay per views where everybody's just laying around and everyone's bleeding, and they're just doing random bleed. Everyone's just bleeding, and they're just bleeding all over the place. Like you don't want like one of the deathmatch stuff.
No.
Not to shoot on our previous indie career, but we used to wrestle at the old H2O arena, and they do a lot of hardcore stuff. And There's
The
50,
sight of many of those.
yes, there's 15, 20 people in the crowd, and this guy's just bleeding all over the place, and the crowd's not even reacting. So you don't want that.
I wonder if it's like a Gallagher show where everybody in the front few rows has the big plastic they're allowed to put up so they don't get hit by the watermelon.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's another blade job. Here comes the barbed wire. Everybody pulls up the plastic stuff in front of them.
It is like Gallagher stuff where it's so gimmicky at the point when you're using so many watermelons. It's like, oh, that's the thing. All right. Well, I
wonder if he had to gimmick the watermelons or if the Sledge-O-Matic just did it, the hard way.
Did he have to make sure? Yeah. Did he have to get a certain type of watermelon or inject it with some fluid beforehand, or were they hard?
Is he blading the watermelon backstage?
And yeah.
Are they taking out some supports like they do to the tables? Like, is he gimmicking the watermelon before the Sledge-O-Matic? This is ridiculous. We're talking about the main event. We're already into the Italian goodbye. I have nothing more to say about this main event. It looks like a crazy start to the year in the WWE, especially at the top of the top level there surrounding Roman Reigns titles. I'm ready for the rest of this show, unless you have something more to put a bow on it.
And that is the lead. We talk about the main event in the lead, but we'll talk about the rest of the show in the follow. So I'd say pretty star-studded, big main event. Maybe not a great finish, but good main event so far. Where do you want to go for the next match here?
I would say maybe one of our match of the year candidates. Another little cliche there.
We're going to be here all night.
How about the WWE Women's Championship match, Michin versus Io Sky? I thought this was a really good match for each of these competitors. Io Sky gets the pinfall here in about 11 minutes. They start bell time about 8:50. It straddles the 9 o'clock changeover there. Pinfall's about at 9:01. So anybody tuning in at the top of the hour would have seen sort of the finishing flurry of this match. Good win for Io Sky. None of the Damage Control members are out there at ringside. So she's getting a one-on-one title defense, which she needs. Heels can't win dirty all the times. Cough, Roman Reigns, cough. It's good that she wins one-on-one. It's also good that Michin, who we haven't seen wrestle a lot at all, gets in there and gives a good showing of herself in this match. This was a pretty good match, wasn't it? This was a title match, and for a TV title match, this was up there as a good TV title match. What did you think of these two competitors in there and a matchup we haven't seen before? This wasn't a retread match for us. Well, what did you think of this?
This was a really good singles TV match. Probably I know this is a new year and I know they went pretty hard here, but this is one of the best SmackDown matches I've seen in a while.
Okay.
They, sometimes they don't have great matches. They're rushed. There's lots of TV breaks. There was only one TV break, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but there was a dive commercial spot, and they had seemed to gotten rid of it, but they did the dive commercial spot, and I still am like, oh, this was actually a really good match. Michin looked
But that made sense, didn't it?
Yeah.
The dive early made sense in this match because when it happened, I did the same thing. Like you're about to talk about the finish here, so go ahead. I just got excited there when you talked about dives because
No, I usually don't like to dive in commercial break, but it kind of built back up once they got in after the commercial break, and then they just kept going with commercial free. But I think probably the spot of the night was the Styles clash off of the turnbuckle. That was nuts. Io Sky, if you're going to talk about crazy high spots, she might be the one in the company right now that seems to really like going pretty crazy. I mean, she did the trash can over her body off of the cage.
Yep.
And she took the Styles clash, which is
from the second turnbuckle. Io Sky tried a Hurricane Rana from the top turnbuckle, and Michin, the bigger, stronger wrestler, held on to the ropes there and wouldn't tumble down. So now Michin's got her up there, and they talked about how Michin was in the OC with AJ Styles and learned from him. And so she sets Io Sky up for a Styles clash and hits it off of the second turnbuckle. And you're like, okay, how is Io Sky not dead right now? And she winds up breaking the pinfall by just getting a hand on the ropes. She was so close to the ropes. She couldn't kick out. She just got an arm up onto the bottom rope. It was really cool. And then a second dive happened and it made sense. And this is why the early dive I wasn't angry about after I saw this.
Mm.
Michin goes after Io Sky winds up slithering out to the floor. Michin goes for another dive, but misses it.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy spot too. Like a dive onto someone, okay, fine. To just dive and not hit the person flush, like that's a crazy spot for Michin and Io Sky. The bumps they took in this freaking match.
Yeah.
My goodness, and that basically gave Io the advantage. She winds up hitting the top turn moonsault for a pinfall. This was Io's third attempt at that top turnbuckle moonsault.
Mm-hmm.
She tried it once. Michin got the knees up. She went for it a second time. Michin got up soon enough and then pounded her on the turnbuckle. So this was almost babyface style.
Yeah.
Like you miss your finisher early, and then when you finally hit it, it's like the big pop. But Io's the heel, so great just letting them wrestle and have a great match like this. How did Michin look to you? We've seen a lot of Io Sky in tag team and in singles. How did Michin look to you? Not having, I think this is the first time I've really seen her in a really competitive one-on-one match.
She was good. She was really good, and there was like one part. There's like a sequence in the middle where they were doing some like power bomb thing, and she put her hair. I don't know. There was like she looked a little lost at some point. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
there was one that looked a little slow early where Michin got thrown into the ropes and just like kind of hung between the top and middle one. And Io Sky went charging in and Mio ducked out of the way. That was a little weird. There was another one where Michin hit a cannonball in the corner for a 2 count. I think she put her hair up going into the cannonball because the cannonball involves flipping over. So she didn't want to get caught on her own hair.
oh yeah, and then she took it out, and I was like, what's going on with her hair?
Yeah, well, she put the hair up to do the cannonball, and then like she let it down again. So okay, hey, there's an extra step in there that Kevin Owens with the crop crew cut does not have to go through.
No, he doesn't have to deal
when
with
he
that.
does the cannonball in the corner. Yeah, Michin hits that cannonball. She hit a beautiful high knee off an Irish whip that was timed so perfectly. I thought Io Sky was dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness, did she like really hit her there? It looked that nasty, but that was early in the match, and everyone was fine apparently. She hit a chest cracker in the corner when she had Io Sky hung up in the second rope in the corner there. Like, what a fantastic move that was. Michin turning on the half crab. I mean, so much offense from Michin that you didn't know she was capable of. She looked fantastic in this match. I'd like to see her get some more singles matches under her belt, and she doesn't have to be pushed to the moon, but she's a good competitor in there.
She has the potential for our Ricochet Memorial Award too. You can't put on a good match.
Oh, the year is young.
No, but she's big, she's strong, and she's got a good look. And I like her kind of in that in AJ Styles' group. A lot of stuff about her has been like, where's she been? Well, because she's just been like a valet, and some of the girls will wrestle, and you're like, yeah, continue to be a valet. It's not working. I mean, I would put her in the upper. Above an average female competitor on their SmackDown roster, above average. And I mean, it's a stacked female roster. It's just another great female worker they have, which is wild.
Back to my initial thesis here that I think each wrestler got what they needed out of this. Surprised to see Io Sky out there by herself with no Damage Control members, and you think that was better or worse for the match?
Definitely better.
Okay.
And Michin hasn't. There's nothing wrong with losing to the champ and having a good match, which he did have. Like, there's no shame in that at all. It only helps her. And Io Sky, I think she's kind
Did
of a
she need this? Did
um,
she need this? Like a one-on-one victory without interference? Because I've said that she's looked somewhat weak as a champion at times.
yeah, because she's always doing the chicken, the chicken
Yeah,
heel. So yeah, I mean, it's helpful. I'm not
right.
mad at it.
This was a good match for everybody, and yeah, early. Hey, first SmackDown of the year. This may have been match of the year. Where do you want to go next? We had two other matches. There was a lot of wrestling on this show. Where do you want to head next?
If you want, um,
Could go to a non-wrestling match if that was more
well,
interesting to you.
I think probably the most storyline thing is the opener here with Kevin Owens going over Santos Escobar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is the finale. This is the final of the tournament. They've been doing the U.S. title tournament. We both like tournaments. Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
They go out. You know who's wrestling who. Uh, Fairly obvious who would win this match. But what did you think about Kevin Owens versus Santos Escobar with Logan Paul on the announce booth?
This SmackDown, this match starts without either guy on the microphone or anything, so it wasn't a big promo and then match. They just come out and they each get their introduction. The bell is at 8:07.
Mm.
That's early to get some wrestling on a SmackDown show. It starts at 8 o'clock here in New Jersey.
Mm.
So the bell's at 8:07. This match goes 17 minutes with Logan Paul on commentary. At times, it seemed to me the crowd was paying more attention to Logan Paul than to the wrestlers.
Yeah.
There were at least two times where Logan Paul was getting chances. He's sitting at the announce table, and of course, he stands up, taunts the crowd with the belt, and acknowledges that they're paying attention to him. Good heel move. I would have liked them to pay more attention to the match, but if on the other hand, if they're going to send Logan Paul out there on commentary, it's because they want him to be noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And this Vancouver crowd noticed him. I mean, maybe they were a little too overzealous in, acknowledging that Logan Paul was there. But I do like that was part of this match, Logan
He
Paul
did a good
being
job
out there imposing.
improving there because I'm sure he didn't predict them to start trashing
Yeah,
him.
right.
So he gets up and he starts doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of the aspects of it, though, is when he starts to egg the crowd on, it takes attention away from,
Mm-hmm.
his natural thing is like, well, I'm the champ. Let me get up. I'm getting a reaction from the crowd. Let me go with it, which you should do. But
Mm-hmm.
it kind of made an awkward match because they're just chanting at Logan. They're ignoring the match
Mm-hmm.
and chanting at Logan. But I think he did the right thing by kind of, you see the opportunity to improv with the crowd, you go with it. I don't know.
Yes, and the thing is, if you don't, it almost gets worse, right?
Right.
Like get up right away, acknowledge it, and then just kind of crap on the crowd with your belt and taunting them, and then send them back to the match.
Yeah.
So
I,
pretty good thing there.
I put in my notes here,
Mhm.
just Logan Paul. I'm trying to think of the word. He's weird. Like, I don't know where to peg him because sometimes he's doing stuff where he's egging the crowd on, and I can't tell if it's go away heat or
Hmm.
real heat or a combo of both. And then on the mic, sometimes he sounds like really relaxed and cool, or like in the
Mhm.
in the booth when he's talking to the two other announcers. And
Mhm.
sometimes he's saying lines that are just so corny and cringe. And I'm like, is this his personality or is he trying to be an, a weirdo? I don't know.
Is it a work or a shoot?
Is he trying to be a dork or is he really, like some of the times he's saying these lines that are just so cringe. And then you're like, oh, is this like part of the gimmick or is this really him? So he's got me interested. I'll put it like that. How about you?
Kevin Owens hits a good. I like Logan Paul, and at the end of this match, post match, I mean, Kevin Owens hits a pop up power bomb and then a stunner for the pinfall. And then post-match, Logan Paul climbs into the ring with a microphone and is insulting Kevin Owens. And Owens is just standing there taking it, not moving. And then as Logan Paul gets a little too close to him, one arm on his title, one arm on the microphone, he's defenseless, and KO just clocks him, decks him with a right hand that still has that cast on it. So a good way to put an end to that. It gives them some heat. It sets up, which is going to be I think a fun Royal Rumble match. With these two guys battling for the U.S. title during the Royal Rumble. I like this. They gave him a lot of time. Santos Escobar looked good. Kevin Owens looked good. Kevin Owens is kind of the right guy to win this, right?
Yeah,
because it's too early for Logan Paul to lose the belt, but he's got to be in a marquee matchup with somebody who's not only a big name within the WWE, but somebody who can put on an entertaining program with Logan Paul. So Kevin Owens is that guy, right?
Right, 100%. I think he's a great selection. I honestly don't know who's going to win. I mean, at this point, Logan Paul feels like a guy that should continue to have that title. I think he's done a fine job not wrestling and just being himself, which is really annoying.
Wouldn't it be his first title defense, though? Can he lose it on his first title defense?
You know, he's been a pretty good sport about losing to people because he's lost several matches. And yeah, he's been a good sport of putting people over and even taking bumps. So, but I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes.
He lost title match. Like he lost to Seth Rollins. He lost to Roman Reigns in a title match. He beat Ricochet.
Yeah, he did beat Ricochet.
And when Rey Mysterio was hurt, they chose, okay, drop the belt to Logan Paul. So that worked for him. But he hasn't had a title defense. I don't think he can lose on his first title defense. That would almost make it a joke.
Right. I mean, maybe he'll wrestle more on SmackDown at some point. That'd be nice. It'd be nice to see him wrestle and defend the title. Especially,
right? Because
especially a guy that's so green. Does he have to wrestle on pay-per-views all the time and look real lost at certain points because he's never wrestled before?
Yeah.
He's like, But I mean, that's also part of the aspect I like about it because it's such a car crash. I'm like, I wonder if he's going to really screw something up. Is he going to drop himself from his neck? So there's a NASCAR effect to Logan Paul, right? Where you're like kind of watching for the car crash. Well, I think that's
SmackDown classic. NASCAR is fake.
NASCAR is fake. Yes.
Don't bury the lead from the vault. NASCAR is fake.
If you're watching right now and you're going through our shorts, you got to look up NASCAR is fake. So, yeah. So
anything from this match? I mean, Kevin Owens did do the cannonball. He did not have to tie his hair like Meechin did.
I thought the corner spots were really cool. The way they were working the corner. I do have to admit, I was a little lost with the match with all the Logan Paul shenanigans. I was more a little interested in that, which, still kudos to him. I mean, he could be like Austin Theory sometimes on the mic and he's just sitting there. And I'm like, come on, Austin, say it. Come on. Start insulting people.
They teased a new alignment backstage after this whole incident. Logan Paul being comforted by Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Do we want to see these three guys as a faction?
I don't know if that's going to help Logan Paul at all, or any of them. Right? At all. Like, let him. He shouldn't have to carry the dead weight. And Grayson, unfortunately, kind of with the way he's been brought in, it's like that. Austin Theory is fine in the ring, just not super charismatic and seems to be kind of buried right now. But so Kevin Owens, Santos Escobar, Kevin Owens goes over. Anything else from this match, Tom?
Nothing from this match, but if you mentioned, let's see here. We've got one other match on this show, and then something else that happened that I know you were messaging me about backstage. Where do you want to go next here?
Well, we were talking about the studio. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about a segment that started off like and then finished for me. Okay.
Yeah.
I could go for this. Bobby Lashley in the ring with Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are all dressed in their suits, and Bobby Lashley is talking about how 2023 was disappointing for him because his efforts weren't rewarded. He's going to change that in 2024. Montez Ford gets on the mic, and now we know why Montez Ford doesn't get a lot of mic time. Then
Yeah.
Angelo Dawkins gets on the mic, and now we know why Angelo Dawkins doesn't get a lot of mic time. And I mean, Bobby is so, but he looked clearly the best of these three.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for them for maybe trying to get some reps under their belt and do this, because if they're going to be pushed, they need to be better on the mic. So yeah, get your practice in, get some reps in. Bobby declares for the Royal Rumble, and that's when something happens.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross
Ah,
and Scarlett appear at the entrance with Paul Ellering. Do you remember Paul Ellering?
I only saw him. I remember in NXT, but I kind of forget what he was in NXT. Who is no?
He was the old-time manager of the Road Warriors.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then
Interesting.
as all the attention is turned that way to Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and you're wondering, okay, is there going to be a ghost story? Are they going to dance? What's going to happen here? Some team called the AOP that I've never heard of ambushes everyone, takes out the Street Profits. Karrion Kross comes out and winds up pump handles, power slamming Bobby Lashley. Not a lot of guys can do that to Bobby Lashley. Weak start to the segment, but a pretty strong finish. What do you think about this yet again reinvention for Karrion Kross? And do you
Well,
know who AOP is?
I remember them from they were in NXT years ago, and they got pushed to the main roster, and then I think just got cut.
Okay.
So I guess they're bringing them back, and AOP. Yeah, so AOP comes out, and they come from the crowd, and it was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
AOP's back." But I could just tell nobody knew who the hell they were with the way the
Yeah.
crowd reacted, because there was like, and it was a big nothing burger from the crowd. They were just like, "Who are these two?"
Mhm.
But I thought it was interesting because we talk about Karrion Kross's gimmick, and there's even another layer because now he's got two camouflaged men. Like, is it like a
Yes.
military thing? Are they Is he a hunter now? What's going on with Karrion Kross and his ever evolving complex gimmick? We'll have to really do like a deep dive and go through all of his little segments. Be like, what is going on with this gimmick?
Months ago, you brought up that when Karrion Kross is just like this big, badass, tough guy in your face, and he was doing this with Rey Mysterio, that seemed to be his best character. Does
Yeah.
it look like he's getting back to that with these two guys forming a three-man faction here with the manager and a valet? Because everybody needs a manager and a valet these days.
He's got both.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'll give you my take. I like where this is going for Karrion Kross because it seems less gimmicky and more let the guy wrestle.
Yeah.
Just let him be a big tough guy.
And if you think of it too like this, if he's got a manager who can talk,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's got two other dudes, and then maybe there's another dynamic where it doesn't have to all be on him for his character because the
Mm-hmm.
gimmick's so wild. And then you could just have him as the wrestler, which is fine, which is good.
I like it too. This is a good one. If they're just going to let him be this big brawler, who can do some athletic stuff when he has to, I think this will be the best version of Karrion Kross that we see. When we started watching SmackDown in the fall of 2022, he was just finishing up really a big brawling feud with Drew McIntyre. And we really didn't get to see much of him in that build up or that feud. We just saw the end of it. And then we just saw weird stuff from him after that. So I'd like to see him. We've been waiting for a year and a half almost to see if they can do something with Karrion Kross. They haven't cut him from the roster. They haven't demoted him to NXT. They haven't just like outright got rid of him. They haven't buried him either. So maybe this is it. Whatever works. Is this the carrying cross gimmick that's going to have some legs behind it?
Yeah, one more thing about this, the Montez Ford segment, like when he
Mhm.
gets the mic, he kind of blew it. Obviously, he had some
Yeah.
marble mouth, but I think what he was trying to say, which is even actually dumb to begin with, was something about the grass being greener on the other side, talking about
Mhm.
maybe AEW, because he was talking
Oh,
about grass is greener on the other side. I don't want to be like one of these guys with the grass is greener on the other side, like going and leaving the company to go to another one. That's the only reason he would say grass is greener on the other side.
okay.
And I
Oh,
know that they like to do subtle shots at them, which are always like, okay,
unnecessary.
it's just, yeah, it's more, yeah, it's nobody cares, right? So I
Well,
think
and,
that's,
and you don't need it. Like, it's not like there's been this exodus of top talent from WWE to AEW, and WWE being ahead in the ratings. There's no reason to pick a fight.
yeah, no, right. They're the clear, at least from a business perspective, they sell
Yeah.
more tickets and they have more eyes on them. So there would be no reason for them to take shots at them.
No.
And even, it's not like the fans in the arena don't seem to care for it. So they don't really like, oh yeah, we really hate AEW. Like, no, like they're just like, no, we're here to watch a WWE show, not because we
They
hate.
probably don't, right?
Yeah, they're probably the same fans that go to AEW shows, go to WWE shows, and then WWE's got that extra mainstream aspect to it where more people go to the WWE shows. But
I wonder if the live crowds are like that in the arenas.
yeah, like,
Because you've been to both.
yeah, when I was going to WWE shows, the biggest T-shirt in the crowd was Bullet Club, which was a New Japan pro wrestling. This T-shirt was just awesome, but like
Yeah. Hmm.
half the crowd was wearing Bullet Club, like a New Japan T-shirts. Like they're just, they're kind. If you're going to a wrestling show, it's not too hard to watch some other promotions and get an idea of who they are.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's something to look forward to. And one more match on this card tonight. Pretty Deadly versus Butch. And do you know who Tyler Bate is? Because
No.
I've never heard of him. Apparently, he and Butch were responsible for really elevating British strong style, which is almost becoming a punchline that, some foreign fill in the blank strong style.
Yeah, right.
Oh, this guy punches. Well, where's he from? He's from Great Britain. That's British strong style.
Right.
I can't wait for a luchador to do a lot of punches and kicks. Oh, that's Mexican strong style.
I know it's turned into that.
I mean, Kevin Owens, he basically does Canadian strong style, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's really it. They just add whatever the thing is, then strong style. It's no longer just strong style from Japan. But yeah, this one, Tyler Bate and Butch go over Pretty Deadly. We have Pretty Deadly back. Yes, boy. Is that their line?
The yes, boy. Yes, you got it.
Yes, boy. They're back, and of course, Butch, our Ricochet Memorial Award winner for Jobber of the Year, ends up getting the win here with Tyler Bate. I wrote in my notes.
Hey, it's a new year, right? He won the award for 2023.
Yeah.
So that's all clear. 2024, turn the page.
And I wrote in my notes here about Tyler Bate. Vince is gone if this guy is coming out because he is tiny. This is the opposite of Vince. And the only tiny guy that's ever made it is a really giant, major famous guy, Rey Mysterio. Nobody else that was tiny would ever be on the WWE roster. And this guy was little,
Tyler Bate looks like he's the size of Butch, who kind of looks like he's maybe even shorter than Johnny Gargano.
Yeah. I mean,
so there's a few of these smaller guys.
But Butch is at least kind of hossy. Tyler Bate was just real thin. I was just like, man.
He looked horsey to me, but what made him look thin is the fact that he wears the white tights
Yeah, he looks
with
like
the designs on the front of the tights. It looked like seams. He looks like he's out there in his tidy whities.
yes. I do want to say that. I think we're both thinking the same thing. We weren't just saying, but we're thinking the same thing. He looks like a man wrestling, a small man wrestling in his underwear. So like the gear does him no favors. But ultimately here, what did you think of? Because he had a pretty unique style here.
Yes.
With the airplane spin.
Long airplane spin on Kit Wilson. Yes, I liked it.
And
he's a pretty strong, like physically strong guy for his size. He's picking up the larger wrestlers doing the extended airplane spin. They wind up winning with what they call a Tyler driver, but they do a double Tyler driver. I guess it's a sort of some sort of variation on either a choke slam or a power bomb. And they do it onto Kit Wilson for the pinfall. Match only goes about 8 minutes. Other than the airplane spin and that finish there, I didn't have a lot of notes for this match. Like, what stood out to you about Tyler Bates' repertoire there?
Seemed like he's pretty unique in some of his movements.
Okay.
And like, I think that it was like chain wrestling in the beginning, but like pretty fast, not necessarily like luchador, but kind of in that same vein where it didn't seem like very physical. They were kind of like dancing around each other a little bit with the chain wrestling in the beginning, but chain wrestling nonetheless. Saw some finger manipulation by Butch, which I'm always a big fan of. And Butch getting a win, which is good. We'll have to see more from Tyler Bate. And Tyler Bate is at least looks a lot different than everybody on the roster and feels a lot different, which you always want to be. I think a lot of guys sometimes, like, I think Mustafa Ali, and I look at Seth Rollins and I'm like, Mustafa Ali just looks so much like Seth Rollins sometimes, like physically,
yes.
and even with the look and stuff. So he's at least differentiated himself. I'll say that.
He is different. No one else has come out there and I've gone, he's wrestling in his underwear.
He's wrestling. Yeah. No, I wasn't like Randy Orton's in the gear, but he looks like $1 million, and he just looks like a guy who, just woke up.
Announce booth. Did you catch this one? They said he could have broken Kit's arm, and the other one says, I didn't figure out who it was who said the exchange, but one says he could have broken Kit's arm. The other one says he might need a wheelchair. So a nice callback to the pretty deadly shoulder separation of Elton Prince from several months back. That was fun.
I was surprised.
Anybody watching live with us right now or is watching on replay and wants to get into the comments there, what do you think of these four guys? These are all guys from the WWE's NXT UK. They all came through there years ago. Did they give a good showing of themselves here? Do you like their chemistry in this match? Because we haven't seen them. We haven't seen Tyler Bate before, but it looks like he and Butch had a history, and it looked like they both worked well with Pretty Deadly. So, what do you think of this kind of match? Does Tyler Bate look like he's just wearing tidy whities?
Yes. Let us know in the chat here, and we'll move on to the final segment or the next segment here. So I think we summed up SmackDown to a great degree. There was a lot of wrestling tonight and a lot going on.
Yep.
So I know
not many backstage things. Like Ashante the Adonis had a little time with Nick Aldis there asking for an opportunity, but they got that over with pretty quickly. Everybody heard that Top Dollar got cut from the roster. So it was like, well, what's going to happen with B-Fab and Ashante? And B-Fab, they were teasing, was going to be with Bobby Lashley's group. We haven't seen much of her recently. Ashante has just been disappeared, but he's back talking to Nick Aldis this week. Maybe there's something for him. And we got a little Damage Control celebration, and then Bayley's going into the Royal Rumble, and then Bianca Belair confronts them and says, no, you're not winning the Royal Rumble. I am. I'm going to KOD you over the top rope, and I'm going to WrestleMania to get my title back. And finishes up with Dakota Kai saying that, Bayley, you're the leader. You have to take care of Bianca so that your plan stays on track. Because Bayley keeps talking about how this is all her plan.
Mm-hmm.
And do you like the dynamic with with Damage Control, with Dakota Kai, who I guess hasn't been cleared to wrestle yet, almost acting like the valet of a group of women.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty good. We'll have to see where that goes. They have a lot of ins and outs going on with Damage Control, so I think they're at least setting that up, or they've been setting it up, and we'll see it go somewhere. And you say keep it on track, and in the vein of keeping things on track here, we were in the follow, so we're gonna say we'll move on to our next segment to keep it on track here. You think it's drive time, Dom?
I think it's drive time. Yeah, I think it's time for the thumb drive. We need to distill New Year's revolution into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no star ratings. There are no letter grades. There are no number grades. You're taking this course, pass, fail.
We're not Dave Meltzer. We don't give out any stars. We just say thumbs up, thumbs down. Is the show good? So, Dom, put them up. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, 2 thumbs up to start the year off. Dom,
We almost have to, right?
yeah.
I mean, they built this up as almost a premium live event. There was no SmackDown the previous week. They did an end of year retrospective with just a lot of video footage. And so we took the time to do our awards show. Hey, let's make chicken salad out of it. Thank you to everybody who's been watching those videos, by the way. Go check out the Ricochet Memorial Award if you haven't yet.
Up to
But I thought we
600
got a
views.
lot of wrestling, right?
Yeah, this was
17-minute match to open.
really...
An 11-minute match for the WWE Women's Championship, in which both Michin and Io Sky came out of that match with something important for each of them. We got a main event that was about 17 minutes of wrestling before the schmaz at the end. And even some fun with Butch and Tyler Bate versus Pretty Deadly. So I thought we got a lot of wrestling. It was fun. That's what I want from a show, right? I don't mind that there's angles and segments and stuff, but not at the expense of really the athleticism and the wrestling.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was good wrestling from all the matches, and there weren't a lot of like lazy talking segments where you're just like ignoring it or bored. Even the one talking segment that went a little south, I think, got saved by Marion Cross. And overall, pretty good show. And really what sticks out to me is the match of the year. And I'll hit the joke for the last time because why not? Let's just speed it up. But Io Sky versus Michin. I think that one really stuck out to me like, okay, this is a good one. And then, of course, with the 3 stars in the main event, really looked like stars. So
the bar has been set with Io Sky Michin, and has Io Sky become the Gunther? That's the belt that we see defended on SmackDown a lot. And Io Sky isn't going to have a bad match. They may not be great, but she's really grown into being a singles wrestler. It's not going to be a bad match. Is she the correct person to be on SmackDown and say, you know what, we haven't had a title match in a while. Io, you're up.
I literally thought the same exact thing tonight. I was thinking, is she like Gunther now, where she goes out and just has the best match on the show, and we're like, oh yeah, I'll watch it for her wrestling in the show. And she has a style that's like, she does some crazy high spots, and she just always seems to have good matches. So a veteran that is doing her thing, because she did a lot of stuff before WWE, and has really stepped up as a good champ, a good wrestling champ, even though she's a heel. Cool. So
I like it too.
That's the thumb drive. And, I got my radiator right next to me. I'm starting to sweat, even though it's freezing here in South Jersey.
It's hot over there. Well, it's cheap over here.
It's cheap.
And that can only mean one thing, right?
That's right.
Is it time for cheap heat?
Time for cheap heat. Cheap heat is a segment where we talk about trending topics in WWE, AEW, the whole pro wrestling world, and we make little short clips and short videos out of this because they're trending, and we can put them over on YouTube. We're live on a few different platforms: Facebook, Twitter, uh,
Twitch.
Twitch. Okay, Twitch.
Mhm.
And then also YouTube. So,
Yep.
Our home base is YouTube, and we'll make small clips. So check that out if you want to see it. But yeah, let me go ahead. I'll share your screen, Dom, and let's start with Cheap Heat here.
Here we go. If WWE rumors about major shakeup behind the scenes are true, then the Vince McMahon era is over. This comes to us from Cinema Blend. And it's not really about Vince leaving, because there's been rumors for a while about how much he's still involved. This is about Kevin Dunn, WWE executive producer and chief of global television distribution. Kevin Dunn gave the higher-ups notice around Christmas week that he would be retiring from the tradition. Apparently, this is one of those unsung heroes of the WWE, behind the scenes, really doing the hard work of getting a look and a feel to the television product. This could be a big loss. These guys behind the scenes, they are important. Guys, especially a live show like SmackDown, this thing has to be over in 2 hours, really 1 hour and 58 minutes and 30 seconds. And it's got to be timed correctly. And they've got to get everything they need into that time frame. They've got to hit their commercial spots. They can't disappoint the advertisers that they have. WWE television programming is a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
If the top guy behind TV is retiring, those are going to be big shoes to fill. Apparently, he's been with Vince McMahon for a long time. Dunn's exit would end a career span that has lasted for 3 decades. He's largely responsible for the look and feel of pro wrestling as it stands today. He oversaw creative direction for WWE that includes television shows, pay-per-view, podcasts, documentaries, and more. This guy had his abilities and his influence in just about everything the WWE does. I mean, maybe not the toys and the merchandise, but all the other stuff that sells the toys and the merchandise. What do you think of a behind-the-scenes shakeup, and how big a deal is it for someone who isn't a wrestling character, who we don't see on screen involved in any angles? How big of a deal can that be? And where in that spectrum would you put a guy like Kevin Dunn, who's been there for so long and been involved with so much, leaving?
Yeah, I don't know anything about Kevin Dunn except for occasionally hearing Cornette complain about him. But it's so hard to tell what his actual personality is, because Cornette seems to just, trash a lot of people. So he just makes fun of him. He said he looks like a beaver and all this stuff. And I don't know anything about Kevin Dunn outside of the Cornette shooting on him. It is pretty crazy that someone would quit their job when Vince left. Here we go. Mr. Spellman with our first comment.
GP, you are correct, sir. What do you think of Kevin Dunn? They've talked about Kevin Dunn leaving and him being fairly responsible for the changes in TV and pay-per-views over the last 25, 30 years or so, maybe even longer, 35 years. If you've watched older stuff than that, then, are you pleased with the WWE product, and you think they have to be very careful of a drop-off with Kevin Dunn leaving? Dunn was generally, if unofficially, seen as the number 2 figure within WWE's corporate rankings, as far as a guy who could affect the product on an event-to-event basis, right? That's what they're talking about here. Unofficially, the number 2 behind McMahon, regardless of what anybody else's title was. His father apparently works with Vince McMahon Sr., And Kevin Dunn joined the WWE almost 40 years ago under Vincent McMahon Jr., Vinnie Mac, Vince, Mr. McMahon. So this is a long-time guy behind the scenes. I hope it is a seamless transition and that the product doesn't suffer. But, you know, from what they're saying, Kevin Dunn deserves a lot of credit for what the modern product looks like. If he's one of those unsung heroes, then maybe this retirement is a chance to sing him a little bit. So,
Yeah. You know,
good for him.
Yeah, I think I mean, if he does retire, yeah, he's obviously a big influence, like you said, to pro wrestling on TV. He's been there for 30 years. It'd be nice if they acknowledged him a little bit, though, right? I mean, typically they acknowledge all sorts of wrestlers when they've done anything, or they retire and they do all these accolades. You figure a guy like Kevin Dunn, who is super important, they would acknowledge on screen. So maybe we'll see something in the Hall of Fame or something like that.
General philosophy and presentation. Dunn famously saw WWE as more of a stage production rather than a sports-based product, and as such, structured the shows accordingly. That's why their TV looks so perfect, right? Because he looks at it at that. There's a balance to be struck, though. I mean, I think Kevin Dunn, his time behind the scenes, if there's been a counterweight like Triple H trying to make it look more like a sports product, and Kevin Dunn saying, okay, but it's got to be a great television product too. Maybe those two are the two, you know, opposite sides holding up the big building from either side that needed there. And so if Dunn is gone, who's going to be the guy that keeps the TV program the focus on, okay, whatever you want to put out there, this has got to be an excellent television product.
Yep. We
got That'll be interesting because
we got another comment from Mr. Spellman.
Hey, there are some people who are good at big ideas like Vince. Then there are people who are good at getting all the details right. Sad to see him go. Mr. Spellman, that's the mic drop for this one. You get the last word, my friend. Thank you very much for the comment.
Mic drop.
Perfect.
Baby.
Moving on. We talk about Cheap Heat being not only WWE, but, you know, you and I only watch one wrestling show a week. It's SmackDown. It's the easiest one to watch for us. But we know that pro wrestling, especially big-time pro wrestling in the U.S., is bigger than that. AEW. MJF's title reign just ended to Samoa Joe this past weekend at a pay-per-view. They then apparently took his name off the roster page, and there's been some backstage reaction. Is this a shoot, or is this a work? And what do you think of everything that's gone on with MJF in the past week, since you are our AEW expert on Don't Bury the Lead here?
It is a capital W, capital O, capital R, capital K. Work. It's a total work.
Okay.
He's been signed for a while.
Okay.
And when he was a heel, one of his gimmicks was the bidding war of 2024. Bidding war of 2024, because he'll be a free agent. He can go to WWE, and he would say it in all the shows. And I know they let them do a lot, but Tony Khan didn't even like him talking about his contract during a podcast. He got in trouble for that. So then they worked it into the gimmick. This is a work, and MJF is signed for a while with AEW. Now, AEW is crazy. Like, it sounds like I thought Cody Rhodes would never leave AEW, and Cody jumped. And the rumor is, at least from what I've heard, is that MJF hasn't really talked to WWE. Like, I think he used them as a bargaining chip at certain points, and they would obviously jump all over him. But I think that MJF is getting paid a huge contract. Like, just I think it's going to be very big amount of money.
As he should be, right? I mean, he's basically carried the promotion for the past year or so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been the one constant, no matter what they wanted to do. He's even pulling double duty in a tag team for a while also being the singles world champion.
And they've had a lot of BS.
Losing that title. Go ahead.
And they've had a lot of BS with CM Punk. People, even BS, and maybe you're going into this cheap heat later, like with CM Punk, even with Tony Khan tweeting, and their actions on social media sometimes. It's just like, there's a lot. They're all, they got to calm down over there. Like but at the end of the day, MJF is an excellent champ, or he's an excellent wrestler. He didn't have such an amazing title run. He did turn face when he had the belt, and he's better positioned as a heel, but he was also way over as a face. He just didn't really have great build-ups to certain matches. Some of the matches were really good, but I know there some people I watch it with weren't thrilled with him as the champ, but he dropped it to Samoa Joe. So
how was the build for that?
Kind of random.
Kind of random. And was it based on the fact that he's rumored to be seriously injured?
Yeah. So
needs some time off.
The whole match, he was taped up. He'd been injured, like he had like a shoulder brace on. His knees were taped up. Like he was just, and then he was really selling all the shoulder and the knee stuff, and then he just got choked out and lost clean. So it was a cool match, and I liked it a lot. And I like Joe as their champ. Honestly, I like him, Samoa Joe.
Okay.
So I think AEW's headed in the right direction. They gave the belt to an adult. They didn't give it to CM Punk. They didn't give it. Almost right now, Jericho is a little bit on the not an adult, not acting like an adult really. So he gave it to an adult.
Okay, very good. I'll take that. Speaking of injuries and people who've had time off, Raquel Rodriguez. We talked about how the women's tag division, especially, was snake bit for the WWE. She's been diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome. Tell us in the comments, do you have any idea what that is? Apparently, it is a skin condition, so it kind of affects, I think she was saying, for the most part, her face, but maybe other parts of her body. I guess it can be painful. It's sort of like super eczema. She did take to Instagram to talk about it. You can see it seems like she has a little bit of the effects of it there, also on the neck. So if it's the kind of thing that makes it tougher for you to just be comfortable in your own skin and move around too much, then you could see how, especially you're in a very visual sport. You're not a pro football player covered in pads and jerseys and helmets and anything. You're in a very visible sport. You're out there in almost your underwear, or if you're Tyler Bate, you're out there in your underwear. Right. So this something here. Raquel Rodriguez, we wish her well, obviously. What do you think they have in store for her if she comes back? Should she come back singles wrestler? Should she come back maybe in a tag team? Well, what would you want to see from Raquel Rodriguez? She was getting a half push when she stepped away.
Oh, yeah. She was good. How long? Do you know how long she's on the shelf? Does that?
No idea. I will share more on my journey, on my healing journey, when I have a better understanding of what's happening. But for now, I love y'all and Happy New Year. I like anybody who says y'all.
Yeah.
That's just me.
It doesn't sound like a career-threatening injury.
No.
And I'll tell you what, there's a certain aspect to wrestlers that when they go away for a couple months and they come back, then that's always fun, right? So
yeah,
maybe it was a good time to put her away for a bit because she had been on Raw. So I don't know if she'd been worn out there on Raw, but I know she was wrestling a lot on SmackDown, and we liked her, but we haven't seen her since. So yeah, well,
the only good Ronda Rousey match we saw.
Yes, that is what she's known for. She had the good match with Ronda Rousey because all the other matches were horrible. So she had the good one.
She dragged an above-average match out of Ronda Rousey that hey, don't bury the league classics. If you're looking through our archive, check out I'm a Man of Science.
Yes.
That's where we had to go. So good for Raquel if she's able to recover. More injury news. I'll play this from Twitter. This was they did not put on a SmackDown for us last Friday, but they were having live shows apparently all weekend. I don't know why they didn't just put one of them on TV. Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor, last man standing match. I'll play you here. This is from Twitter. Sami Zayn with a haluva kick. They've got a table set up in the other corner. Sami throws Finn Balor in and pow, that table ricochets and hits Sami Zayn on the head. Sami Zayn winds up winning this match, but he needs, I think they said 15 staples to close the gash on the top of his head from that table.
Ugh.
So
Jesus.
Sami Zayn getting color the hard way at this one here. You can see here as he wins the match, he's already it's showing up on his forehead like he's legit bleeding. It's all over his hands like he is.
He's gushing.
He got smacked in the head. He needs medical attention.
Yeah.
But he's in Canada and he is milking the crowd. So.
Wow. Oh, very cool, Dom. Good find. Wow.
So Sami Zayn was off TV for a while. They said he was nursing an injury. At least that was the storyline. He goes out on a house show and bam, gets legit hurt. And he's still not going back for medical attention. Your brains are spilling out of your head, Sami Zayn. Get off of the ropes and go back to the medical facility. What are you doing? The ref doesn't even want to touch you to raise your hand.
Yeah, no.
Just pointing at him, say, yeah, that guy, he won. Get out of the ring. You're done.
He's so delusional from the bump that he's just like.
Watch him bump his head on the freaking ring post as he rolls out. How much adrenaline must be pumping through his veins, LOL, right? That just makes it worse because it's just pumping through the wound in his head. I'm having flashbacks to the old Saturday Night Live sketch with Dana Carvey, Massive Head Wound Harry, who would just show up to parties with a massive head wound and everybody be like, oh, you have and he's like oblivious to it. There's Sami Zayn, massive head wound Sami. Saturday Night Live call out there for you. And I have only one more. We talked about Butch winning the Ricochet Memorial Award, even though Ricochet is still alive, for being the guy who we really like to see out there, even though he loses a lot. We gave the women's such award to Shotzi, who was also wrestling on these house shows. They had one of these shows in Las Vegas. So Shotzi and her fiance eloped in Las Vegas. Then she apparently wrestled in her wedding dress that night. Congratulations to Shotzi and Jesus Alfaro, the new Mr. and Mrs., for getting married in Las Vegas. And then this is from people.com. We have gotten articles today from, Cinema Blend. This one's from Coming Soon, from WrestleZone. We've had people's Instagrams and Twitters up there. This is from people. This is like mainstream, pop culture stuff. This was a big enough of a splash that it got into people. Shotzi getting married in Vegas the day of a wrestling event and going out and wrestling in apparently her wedding dress here. This is another Twitter find here as well. I know the WWE was congratulating her. There she is with the wedding dress. And eventually they look at the watch and say, oh my goodness, I have to get to the arena. And there they go running off. And here's the arena, and Shotzi comes running out in a wedding dress to wrestle. So it's a work, it's a shoot, it's a work and a shoot.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And what's with her hair? It's all back.
Right, yes. How did that happen? It's
She's like,
magic.
She's like, I hated my other hair. Oh, see, I hated the decision to get the short hair, so I went green hair.
I shaved my head for a gimmick that we didn't even wind up using.
Right.
I'm wearing a wig and getting married in Vegas.
I got one for you, Dom. If you're done, I forgot to mention this to
I
you.
am done, sir. I will stop the share here. Very good. What do you have? Yes.
So big news.
Hit me with your best shot.
Out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You recognize this guy? Dolph Ziggler.
I recognize Dolph Ziggler anywhere. What a great wrestler he was. He was the Ricochet years before Ricochet was Ricochet. The guy who was so talented, made everybody else look good in the ring, and just for a few years was not getting a push. Now, in his defense, he had been to the top of the mountain a few times and had a long career, right?
Yeah. So toward the end of his career, he was jobbing like a lot. But like he would win, I think he won a lot of intercontinental championships. I don't think he ever got the big belt, but he was always getting tag, US, intercontinental. He's in that realm, and always really a good worker. And maybe not so hot on the mic. On the backstage stuff, pretty good, but not so hot on the mic. But he is now in New Japan. So he came out with him and his brother. It's actually pretty cool looking. So here is him and his brother at New Japan Pro Wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, his brother is the wrestler here?
His brother is right behind him in the background.
Okay, I thought for a second it looked like he had some wrestling gear on, but no, they're both dressed in suits.
Yeah, so they both show up, him and his brother, and it looks like he shot a promo and he'll be doing some work with them. So a big pick for sure. And
all right.
From my perspective, I think it's a good fit. Japan, they rely heavily on that sports style of pro wrestling, and you know, they rely heavily on really athletic, good workers, and that'll get you over. You don't necessarily need the promo stuff. He's a star in the U.S. already, and coming over there, that'll help them get some U.S. viewers once Dolph gets over there. And some guys just go to Japan and they get a little darker and better. You know, they get a little more. They turn a little more into athletes when they're over. So hopefully,
good for him then.
Yeah, hopefully he comes back with a bit more of an edge when he's in Japan and comes back over to the U.S. Maybe he could do AEW. I'm sure there's a Royal Rumble entrance that the crowd will go crazy for, especially if he gets over in New Japan. So it's an opportunity for him, a new start, and it's probably a new start he needed years ago, but he probably was making a lot of money, to be honest with you, because he was putting on really good matches, and he was a veteran.
Do they have an arrangement between AEW and New Japan where maybe he does wind up on AEW programming and that keeps him in the minds of some U.S. wrestling viewers?
Yeah. Wrestle Kingdom, which was this Wednesday, had Jon Moxley, had Bryan Danielson in a match against Okada. Actually, probably way worth it. I read about the specific event, and someone gave it 9 out of 10. So I don't know, some author, but like it's gotten really highly praised show. It was a highly praised show, and it's
9 out of 10. I don't know what that means. I only know thumbs up or thumbs down. What is 9 out of 10? Is that a thumbs up? Is that enough? It's a good show.
Up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was like thumbs up. Good show.
It was like a way thumb up. Like, whoa, that's not a teeter. That's like, whoa, yeah.
We weren't teetering. It's like, yeah. But this is also not us. It's somebody else. So it could be crap. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, so it got a thumbs up, and yeah. So I looked at the pricing because the Japanese yen, the Japanese currency is a little lower than the U.S. dollar. They're having some trouble there. So it's supposed to be $9.99, but it turns out to be like $7 or $6 for the pay-per-view. So,
wow.
Yeah, and you go. I mean, a pay-per-view at the Tokyo Dome, you see Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. I think for your dollar, that's probably going to be the best pay-per-view you could see. You know.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's an endorsement to broaden our horizons. We say Cheap Heat is a WWE, AEW, and beyond. This is definitely one of those and beyonds. There. That's fantastic. Good for him. Any idea what his name would be? Because I imagine Dolph Ziggler is not his real name, and that's probably WWE copyright. Any idea? Was there any hint you saw of what he would wrestle as in New Japan?
It might be his real name. I don't know. I'm not
Okay.
sure, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think that's it, Dom. Anything else from Cheap Heat? I showed my piece. I think you showed all yours.
I am all cheaped out. I am all heated out. It was cheap. It was heat. It was cheap heat.
That'll be a short. Um, all right. So we'll mosey on down to the Italian goodbye. This is the segment where we start to mosey on down to finishing the show. And typically we'd say 1, 2 things if we were normal people and we would just drop off. If we did an Irish goodbye, we would just end stream and we wouldn't say anything. But instead, we do an Italian goodbye. So we start to say goodbye, then we start talking, and then we start talking. So we hang on for a couple more minutes and then we say goodbye.
I want to ask you a question, John.
Sure.
Who did you miss tonight on WWE SmackDown?
Who did I miss? Paul Heyman talking about?
How about Michael Cole?
Oh, right.
He
Yeah.
did not appear to be on the announcement. It appeared to be just Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick. I don't know who's who, but it appeared to be just the two of them. Michael Cole apparently did Raw, so he may be staying on Raw. They may have just totally transitioned the two announced teams from where they were like 6 months ago, where Wade Barrett and Michael Cole are now exclusive to Raw, and it looks like Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick are exclusive to SmackDown. Was the announced team better or worse tonight without a 3-man? Because we don't want to say like, oh, without Michael Cole. I think the bigger story is it goes from 3 to 2, so guys maybe have a little bit more room. Or do you want to say like you prefer it better? Yeah, it is a Michael Cole thing. I'd rather him not be there. Did the announcing stick out to you as better, worse, the same? Was it noticeable?
Michael Cole's improved the last couple years. I think it's Vince has gotten out of his ear, and he can just because now he doesn't have someone screaming in his ear. Before he would have people screaming in his ear, and Vince would tell him like, say entertainer, don't call it a wrestler, or like be happier, laugh holler, laugh louder, and stuff like that. So Vince would be in his ear saying weird stuff to him. But as far as Michael Cole, I think he's gotten better. I'm not a huge Corey Graves guy, and I liked Wade Barrett, so that's a loss. But maybe Corey Graves getting matched up with his other guy, they find some synergy. It's always about the guys finding synergy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe these two can kind of get along. I found them a lot less annoying because when it's Cole and Graves is rough. But maybe this other guy and Graves could be a little bit better. It is a shame
How was it tonight? We got a lot of wrestling time, which means we got a lot of the announced team.
I honestly, I wasn't really quite paying attention to it because sometimes it takes away from it if I pay attention too much to what the announcers are doing. So I didn't really pay attention. I don't have a.
But is that good though? Isn't that almost like the offensive line in football? If you're noticing them too much, it may mean that they're not doing their jobs very well.
Yeah, or like the referee. Well, I like noticing them when they're good, when it's like Jim Ross or something like that.
Okay.
He's announcing a match. Like I like to notice them then. But then I've kind of just self-consciously try not to pay attention too much to what they're saying.
I did like the exchange. He could have broken Kit's arm. He might need a wheelchair. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I mean, they did not detract from what I was watching on the screen. No. So I think they were pretty good. And if those guys, maybe Cole was there to coach them up a bit, and now it's time for them to sink or swim on their own. I thought they did a pretty good job for their first SmackDown that you and I have seen, where it was just those two without Michael Cole there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the less I notice you as an announcer, it's probably the better.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Anybody in the chat here? We have people on YouTube and Twitch here. So anything you wanted to talk about with WWE? Talk about weather. We're doing Italian goodbye, so we can talk about anything. But anything in the wrestling world, let us know if you want to talk about it, because we will talk about it. Mr. Spellman, I know you're around. I'm guessing you're around at least. So if you're around, go ahead and give us your opinion on anything. That might be dangerous. Mr. Spellman, what are your thoughts on a really dicey topic right now?
Since the last time we recapped the SmackDown, I want you to, I have another question for you, John. You ready? How many wisdom teeth do you think I have?
Well, you got 2 removed. Maybe you have 2.
I have 3.5.
3.5.
Christmas weekend. I had been told more than a year earlier that I had something called resorption in my top right wisdom tooth, which is it's just kind of decaying from the inside, though, not a cavity where it decays from the outside. And like I couldn't go back to the dentist because it was really a tough trip to get out there after they moved.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, I can give you a referral to an oral surgeon. If you want that person to take a look at it, maybe they can schedule an extraction for you. And like that was another, it was such a pain to get out to. I was like, forget it, it doesn't hurt, no big deal. So, fast forward a year or so later, and I'm eating a pizza, that I heated up myself in the oven here, so when you do the supreme pizza from the supermarket, it's got to cook in the oven a long time, especially the rising crust. And that makes the bottom layer of the crust really crunchy. So I'm eating the pizza and I crunch on the back right of my mouth there. And I feel something and I'm like, did I just get a piece of crust stuck in my teeth? And I'm like playing with it with my tongue. I was like, no, that's part of the tooth. The tooth just imploded. Like part of the tooth just had hollowed out so much that a big crunch on that crust was enough to get rid of that part of the molar there. So yeah, I got an imploded molar. And so I'm down to like half a wisdom tooth on the upper side here because that part of it just fell off.
Are you going to the dentist to get the rest of it removed?
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, because the thing is, like, it decayed from the inside, so it doesn't hurt.
Oh, okay. If it doesn't hurt.
And any nerve endings would have decayed naturally with it.
Oh, cool. So whatever's in there.
No, whatever's in there, I mean, like, the newly exposed gum is a little sensitive at first, but, like, that heals itself and toughens up, quickly. So it's fine. I mean, I don't chew very much on the way back of my right tooth there.
Mr. Spellman says, thank God for the Don't Bury the Lead dental policy.
Yeah, in true pro wrestling style, it's like, so what? You lost a tooth, whatever.
Say whatever.
We have wrestle through it.
We have another comment here.
Okay.
So
you powerbomb your son onto the bed, and when flipping him up, you hurt your neck. When did you guys realize you were getting too old? I tweaked a hamstring sneezing. I slept wrong. I think slept wrong is like, okay, you're not a kid anymore.
Not
like when you injure yourself and you're not even conscious of it because you were asleep.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of certain times that I've injured myself. But yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, you hurt your neck when you're flipping them and you're like, oh, daddy's done wrestling. Yeah. Anything with my foot, if I go running, it always just is destroyed. Like oh, wow. So I can't just do a 1 mile run, then a 2 mile run, then a 3 mile run. Like if I do that, like my foot just hurts like crazy and I don't know what it is. So, there's plantar fasciitis or whatever that is. But I didn't have plantar fasciitis when I was 19 years old or 16, 17 years old. I was playing football, I was wrestling. I didn't have that stuff. I just kept moving and I wasn't hurt, But now
You were pro wrestling 4 or 5 years ago.
I was 4 or 5 years ago pro wrestling, and I was ignoring the pain because it was.
You were ignoring the pain. Okay.
I was gutting it out because.
So you were already at that point going, okay, I'm not a young person anymore.
Yeah, I knew I don't have a lot, and that's why we're not doing it now. I knew I didn't have a lot of time left, so I wanted. So I would gut out anything that was hurting. Yeah. So those are injuries, and. Sorry, in regard to thank God for the Don't Bury the Lead dental policy. Unfortunately, we are not monetized yet, so that does not exist. We might get it one day if we, Mr. Beast, blow up here.
Hey, help us out. If you're watching now and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to Don't Bury the Lead on YouTube. Wherever you are watching us, if you're watching us live or if you're watching the full show on a replay, thank you very much for finding us wherever you did. If you want to see more of our content, the full archive is at the YouTube channel. That's where the short videos are. That's where the edited clips are that John makes that are very well produced. You may see the crazy looking thumbnails that are very eye-catching and very appropriate for what our content is. And that's also our full archive of these Don't Bury the Lead live streams that we do after most SmackDowns and some premium live events as well. Find us on YouTube wherever you are. Don't Bury the Lead and binge watch our content.
We have
Get
a
the
message
notification, everything.
From Twitch. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer a promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chatbots, etc. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Flexible and convenient order management. Sir, not interested, but thank you for the chat.
Yes, we are not yet monetized. Your price, I am sure you are very good at it, but your price is not lower than what we currently pay.
Right. Yes. Going on to the next comment here. Taylor, Travis, now's the time to blast the pod on your socials.
Okay, so you're calling out other viewers in the chat. I love that.
No,
John, are we open to appearing on someone else's podcast to talk up Don't Bury the Lead?
I think you're saying Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of course. I heard a rumor that they were at last week's Don't Bury the Lead live stream watching the 2023 SmackDown awards that we were giving out.
They were up in the club box right across from me in my bedroom.
Yes, way up there. You could barely see them. They had the great seats.
Yeah, they had awesome seats.
But it was fantastic. Yes, of course. Yes. This is the Italian goodbye in parentheses Taylor's version. That was our running joke from last week because Taylor Swift, if you're not in on it, Taylor Swift was remaking a lot of her older albums that because she had a fight with her old management. And so she wanted to re-release the albums and not have to pay any royalties or mechanicals to the old guard there. So she was re-releasing everything and calling it by the same title, except in parentheses, it would say Taylor's version. So a lot of people would start just searching YouTube or social media or streaming platforms for just Taylor's version of anything. And so these snarky joke just became off. You want more viewers and search results, just name everything Taylor's version. So Don't Bury the Lead, Taylor's version.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dom. We're moseying on down to the Italian goodbye.
We have been moseying for a while here.
We get a lot of comments, which is always hard to leave when you're getting comments.
Always entertaining. Thank you guys out there who are watching live. And if you're not watching live, write something in the comments for us. John and I do read them. Sometimes John even replies to you or gives you a reaction there on your comment. Please do not write anything that might get our channel struck. It is YouTube. They have some rules. Maybe their rules aren't the best, but they are what they are. Please do not write anything that we will have to hide from the channel. so that it does not get us a strike or worse.
Yeah.
But other than that, hey, speak your mind. It's pro wrestling. It's supposed to be fun.
Speak your mind, have some fun, and you should be good. If you write cuss words, then I gotta delete it. Basically, yeah. If you write a bunch of slurs, then I gotta delete it. So
Slurs might be a problem. Yeah.
yeah. So when you write the slur, I gotta delete it. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Dom. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. We started the year off strong. There's a new
Yes.
video out there for the Ricochet Memorial Award, the Jobber of the Year.
And we got a really good SmackDown to open the year. New Year's Revolution here. This was a fun show to watch and a fun show to recap afterwards. And now it really is the road to Royal Rumble. We have a U.S. title match set. It's going to be Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. And we found out who Roman Reigns' opponent is going to be for the Royal Rumble. In fact, he's got 3 of them.
So yeah, looking at our channel, we are very close to 400 subscribers too. So
all right,
we are 2 away from 400. We hit our goal of 390 before the end of the year, and
we did.
Yeah, so we hit that 390 before the end of the year. And let's see, is there one more here?
Who wants to take us to 4 bills?
4 bills. And then there's one more I wanted to point out. Give me a sec here. Oh, yeah. So we're at a total of 191,000 views. Well, almost 192,000 views. So we are right on the doorstep of 200,000 total views.
Right.
So that's going to be exciting. And
let's see how many more SmackDowns it takes to get to 200,000.
And I'll tell you what. Let's see how many weird shorts that are 5 seconds that I make that
yes.
can go off. Hopefully we got some good stuff here from Cheap Heat today. But
now when we talk about weird shorts, we mean that in a very different context to what Tyler Bate was wearing to the ring tonight.
Hi-oh, yo, Tyler Bate, you come get it in this chat, buddy. We're attacking you. Only we thought you were a good wrestler. It's just the gear. What was going on?
You look like you're wrestling in your underwear.
Your underwear.
Like, yes, I know lots of people wrestle in their underwear, but they don't look like they're wrestling in their underwear. You look like you were wrestling in your underwear.
All right, Dom. Well,
it's a shoot and a work. You're wrestling in your underwear.
We got ourselves a short for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Mr. Spellman, anything you got to say before we hop off? We can hang on for a little bit more if you want.
What do you think about people who look like they're wrestling in their underwear?
What do you think? Oh, I'll tell Dom. This is a little inside baseball for you guys, but we will be releasing a video tonight about Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
And just a friendly goodbye. I'm out. Love you guys. Love you too, Jay.
Oh, there you go. Maybe it's time to put the goodbye on the Italian goodbye then. Thank you, Mr. Spellman. Thank you to our other commenters who reached out. Thank you to everybody who watched the live stream. And thank you to everybody who's finding us on YouTube and our archive and looking through all our great content.
Great. Yep. If you're watching right now, you can check out the rest of our channel's videos. So appreciate you hanging on and have a great rest of your evening.